Welcome to the Landing Strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Welcome back to the Landing Strip after what was yet another embarrassing Winnipeg Jets game. All this talk about recipe is back this week, and if you look at the 4 games on the old Money Puck Deserve-O-Meter this week, the best they've shown on there is a good old 33%. The recipe is back, folks, and it means putting up a field or a touchdown against the Edmonton Oilers. It means getting 9 shots through 2 periods. It means making mistake after mistake trying to contain the big boys on the other side. Welcome to Winnipeg Jets hockey. This is what we've been trying to warn you about when they play against a team that has an elite top end. The Edmonton Oilers haven't even been good lately as a team. They've had their own issues. And they just walloped the Winnipeg Jets in Edmonton. As T. Will puts it, I can't get mad at the Jets anymore for losing these games. It's like getting mad at a fish for not being able to climb trees. Ecker says, should be like the boys and mail it in tonight. Honestly, I'm going to need a lot of help from the chat and maybe the call-ins tonight because I do want to mail it in. What's the point of getting worked up watching the same shit, recording the same shit over and over and over when nobody that has any say wants to change anything about the misery they're putting their fan base through right now? No one in this organization has a nut between their legs to change the plan. It's going to take, for anything to happen in Winnipeg, it's going to take a coach quitting, a player retiring, a player asking out before this managerial staff has their asses lit on a fire. Welcome to the Winnipeg Jets organization, ladies and gentlemen. But, Mikey, I can't do this alone. How you feeling tonight, buddy?
You know, there's only one way I'm feeling right now, and I'm going to show you.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. It'll soon be here.
Bring out the tank, baby.
Yeah, like you said, there's not a lot of point in getting mad or angry or upset. It is what it is. This is unfortunately Winnipeg Jets hockey at the moment. You're seeing the fruits of the tree right now, and it's they're a little bitter. I don't know if this is the fruit you want to be making those recipes with, because it doesn't taste too good right now.
No, you mean after one period being down 4-0, losing the shot battle 16-5, losing the shot attempt battle 19-13, which the 13 even sounds generous, and losing the expected goals battle 1.68 to 0.32. They barely even put anything in play. This game was over like 10 minutes in, 12 minutes in.
9 minutes in.
9 minutes in. And we heard it from the announcers at the end of that period saying, this is a microcosm of what we've seen. The Jets look drowsy and sloppy on pucks. The Jets have looked drowsy, sloppy on pucks, slow, unmotivated for a while now. This is nothing new. The fact that there was victory laps in this market after beating the goddamn Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres. Let's put that on a banner. The Winnipeg Jets of late have been able to beat the Buffalo Sabres and the Nashville Predators, folks. Can you buy the excitement that is cooking? Hey, we could beat those bottom feeders. Let's go. It's about to get a lot harder, too, when you look at where this schedule is going. Let's see how stubborn you could be. Let's even, like talking about how bad the Oilers have been here. This was at the halfway point of the game. We're not even 30 minutes into today's game yet, and the Oilers have already generated 11 high-danger scoring chances at 5-on-5. For context, they've generated 10 or less high-danger chances in 23 out of 28 games they played that year. This has only happened 6 times for the Edmonton Oilers this year. Talk about a team that's been stuck in the mud.
Yep.
This idea that the Jets have taken steps to offensively, it was another freebie there, no matter who was on the ice. Watching Connor McDavid versus a Luke Shen, Logan Stanley pair was frightening gap. Then you see the Pionk-Sandberg duo get absolutely split up the middle and beat with one pass to Leon Draisaitl to make it a 2-0 hockey game. You see Josh Morrissey, who we put on a goddamn pedestal, has one of his worst games I've seen him actually play. Like, I'm not sure what he did right today. And this goes for all 6 defensemen. This goes for up and down this entire forward group. There's no one that gets off today. Jonathan Taves skating around doing nothing. Adam Lowry, it's clear, is just nowhere close to normal.
He's not healthy.
Could you imagine, though, the big question I have leaving here today, could you imagine how embarrassing this game would have been if Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor's line didn't get on the board? It's all they have, don't you know? Could you imagine how embarrassing it'd be if they had to play a part and they lost the game 6-1 instead of 6-2? Wouldn't you have felt so much worse about this if that's what would have happened?
Oh, it would have been terrible.
It would have been horrendous.
Embarrassing.
It's not like this
Astronomical.
one was over 20 minutes in. Oh, I tell you, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Who could have seen this coming?
Believe it.
Who possibly could have seen this coming? It's a shock. Nobody could have known that this was exactly what was going to happen. You know, there's no way to predict any of these very predictable patterns. It's impossible. It's a crapshoot.
As Caitlin Doucette says, I'm choosing to rejoice the Cole Koepke heater. Where were you when Cole Koepke made it a 6-2 hockey game, scoring in back-to-back games? Honestly, you know what's pathetic about this game? The fourth line was probably their best line tonight.
Fourth line? They were your most played 5-on-5 line tonight, baby.
Don't let them get hot. Look for the
The
Cole
new
Koepke
number
breakout.
1 line in town. Let's go, Morgan Bear and Cole Koepke and Tanner Pearson. Look, I don't know what everybody's all upset about. What I saw is depth scoring out there today. Again, 2 games in a row. The top line still producing. So, I don't know. Haters need to really calm down. I think we're in a good spot here.
Yeah, real good spot. This thing's gonna be over by the time Connor Hellebuck gets going at this rate. As Irish Hard 47, 42 says, this team is ass. Holy shit, this is so poorly built, man. And Harshivan Parwana says, thanks Chevy for shutting the window. Honestly, I'm so frustrated with the coaching decisions, and I got some credit from Brendan Labar over on Twitter for calling. The fact that they would move Iafallo up to the top line and bring Gabe Velarde down and pretend like that changed anything. And then they got back to the group in the third period, so it didn't even last long. But really, he's trying to make chicken shit out of, or chicken salad out of chicken shit. We have yet to see one place left. Will they do it, or will they continue to let this flounder? Talk about a team. Talk about a perfect comparison of this entire conversation we're having around splitting up 2 hockey players. Talk about a perfect game to look at, where this is a popular conversation in Edmonton whenever the coach decides to load up Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele are not Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They're not in the same stratosphere of those guys. But in Edmonton, it's really unpopular to put those 2 together. In Winnipeg, if you keep pounding that door, people are still pissed at you, even though they're watching their team lose 6 of the last 8 hockey games. For some reason, they're fine with that in this market. In a year after, their owner tells them they're more motivated than ever. At some point, it's time to get off the corporate tit of True North here and come back to reality, because this is not good. This process is not going to work. Let's be honest with what's happening. Let's get out of the clouds. Let's stop seeing the rainbows around this. The fourth line was their best line against the Edmonton Oilers after this big revelation. Hey, revelation, they beat the Buffalo Sabres last night. Things were turning a fucking corner, buddy. And then they look like this where the game's over 6 minutes in, 10 minutes in, 12 minutes in.
You can be motivated to go farther. You can be motivated to, build a winner. You can be motivated to get a deep playoff run in a long-lasting, successful organization. That doesn't mean you know how to do it. And it's very clear at the moment that they just don't know how to put those pieces together. They're having career years out of their core guys the last 2 years. Connor Hellebuck last year had an incredible year. Hart Trophy winner, Vezina Trophy winner. Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor could both break 100 points this year. You're getting the absolute best from your guys, and we have found absolutely no way to capitalize on that. It's baffling. Like you said in the other day, it's almost impressive to be able to waste 2 100-point players having their career year and then miss the playoffs. You almost have to work harder to do that. It's kind of interesting.
Kevin K asks, so does that mean that this team has 4 fourth lines now? Madison Howanek, I will make sure to talk to Jor. Thanks for joining the chat. Says, what the fuck are we doing playing AI, Nino, Taves, Nyquist, and Pearson to do? Honestly, you could extend that question out to about 14 Winnipeg Jets at this point, and I'd probably have the same question at this rate because they're getting nothing from anywhere in the lineup. This was a night where pretty much everyone up and down. Like, I almost think we would be bullying players by singling out single guys at this point because it was everybody tonight. This was a game where who are you impressed with? Who comes out of this one well? Eric Comrie, I don't get why he's starting on back-to-back nights.
Oh, I can't wait to get into that. Oh, boy, I can't wait to get into that one.
Let's talk about it here quick because I was stunned. I was expecting Thomas Milic on a back-to-back. He had Carolina. He had he'd come into that game against, who was it here? Buffalo at the beginning of the week. He's looked confident. You're playing on a back-to-back. And I guess I'm of two minds right here. I'll share my opinion first on the Eric Comrie thing. I hate nothing more than starting back goalies on back-to-backs, whether it's Connor Hellebuck or it's Eric Comrie level goalies. I hate that play because of the stats behind it. There is nobody in the NHL, elite goalies, backup goalies, mid goalies, that perform better on a back-to-back than a league average guy. It just doesn't happen. One theory I have, you got to ask the question, did you want to throw the rookie out to what you just saw and absolutely demoralize the guy? And then the other theory is, though, like, Eric Comrie had just come off 2 real good games where he helped you get 3 out of 4 points. Yep. And you're feeding him to the Wolves, and you need him to be the starter over the next 2 to 4 weeks. I don't think there was a winning solution when it came to the goalies today, but I am surprised, given the longer-term view of it, that they went the route that they did with it. And I will let you give your thoughts on the Comrie Milic thought.
You nailed it. There's absolutely no way, no world, no shape where you should be putting out your normally backup goaltender in 2 games back-to-back like that. You don't do that to the elite guys anymore because the stats show that it doesn't work. It doesn't matter if you're one of the elite starters or you're a backup. The second half of the back-to-back game, you're going to get shelled more often, way more often than not. The winning percentage for goalies in the second half of back-to-backs drops to 39%. Like, it's ridiculously low compared to, like, the league average when you're starting. And the difference between, like, a Hellebuck and a Comrie in that instance is only about a 2% change. Like, it doesn't move the needle whatsoever. So to go out and think, yeah, we're going to put Comrie out there is insane, I guess, unless you're trying to save Milic's feelings. But he's not a veteran. That's not how we do things here. So, no, I don't think that's what was happening. I don't know what was happening, to be totally honest. It makes no sense. I know the Jets say they have an analytics department. I know there are some people with faces and names on the website and it says analytics beneath them. If that's actually the case, they need to be looking for a different job soon because I don't know what package you put together that told your coach that was a good idea.
Oh, that suggests that the people that get to make those decisions necessarily take that advice. And that's where that kind of comes to.
A 19-year-old with Google could have told them that this was a stupid idea. I don't know what. It baffles me.
We got some comments from Arneal as Zero Ghost 8 shares. NHL Jets coach Scott Arneal tells reporters in Edmonton, mentally and physically we weren't ready to go. That's become quite a theme with this team, it seems. And he adds, I'll take responsibility for that. Calls tonight another big step backwards. And for the crowd that thought we were being hard on this team the last couple of games and they had turned a corner, you are now hearing it out loud and in the open from Scott Arniel, who you trust every decision that he makes, that this team has some problems right now, and they are going backwards. He's willing to take some responsibility.
He called it embarrassing just the other day. He's the one that said it as well, right? It's not just us. Scott Arniel's called it embarrassing too. So, yeah, from his mouth to your ears.
But we're getting some phone calls already. Let's open the phone lines and get to talking to the people. We do this show for you guys. So if you want to call in and discuss your thoughts on what you just witnessed, this could be a therapy session today. This could be a vent session. This could be looking for some answers. This could be looking towards the 2026 entry draft. Whatever you want to make this show tonight, the phone lines are open.
We got our first caller.
800-0409. Let's go to those phone lines and let's talk some Winnipeg Jets, baby.
Hi, caller. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
This is Nicholas calling in, and I'm just gonna go over a few things, I guess.
Mikey, I can hear
you guys can hear me okay?
Give me 1 sec. Nick said he's having some trouble hearing you. Hold on.
Even we aren't at full steam ahead just
There we go.
yet.
Go ahead.
Hey, so this is Nicholas calling in, and basically what I just wanted to go over quickly was that I don't know, man. It's like, it's sad to say this, but none of what's going on should really be a surprise to people. Last year, I actually thought that this kind of season was going to happen, and the Jets surprised everyone, and I gave credit to the organization, and it was definitely fun times, the season to remember. But I mean, like, you go into the season, you lose your arguably, maybe not arguably anymore, your best second line player. You fill them with bargain bin players, right? And it was nice that they brought Taves in. I'm at that point in my life where I don't really have like heroes anymore, but Taves was kind of like that last generation of player that grew up watching and kind of looked up to. But I mean, man, it's like getting Taves at this stage in his career is like when Forrest Gump gets Jenny right at the end there, right before she kicks the bucket. It's not working out. The guy should be on the fourth line, probably like spending a couple games in the press box between, these stretches of games. But of course they guaranteed him all this money as long as he just suits up. And, I don't know, man, it's just like the fact of the matter is, I guess to get to the point here, my biggest problem, full stop, is that I don't think the people running the ship are being honest to the fans. It's like they tell us that, it's hard to bring guys in, and we're looking at all the options. Or what did Chevy say earlier, that like the teams don't want to make trades, but it's like, well, if you can't bring people in to make the team better, and like you guys said earlier, you're basically wasting the primes of like the players that you have.
Yep.
What do you expect? I mean, they're allergic to doing anything different. They don't want to rebuild. I don't know, man. I think this is just going to get a lot worse.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I can leave it there, but I don't know. Like, for where the Jets are, their drafting needs to be impeccable, and they got to look at these competitive windows as short periods of time where if they don't have guys that they can bring in internally to start filling spots on the roster, then it's probably time to start trading those assets. And then, go through a rebuild and, just be honest about it. I don't buy this narrative that Jets fans don't want to pay to watch a rebuild. I think so long as they're upfront about what they're doing, what their intentions are, and they have like an actual plan, people will be interested in supporting that, right? But anyway,
absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah.
But I'll leave it there for now. I don't want to ramble too much, but man, not even at the point of anger anymore. Just sad. Feel like it's gonna just continue to get worse.
Yep.
But thanks for having a show like this where people can call in and keep it up, boys.
Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. We're going to hit on a bunch of those points. I know Nick's chomping at the bit to get at that. Yeah. And thank you so much for calling in. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night.
You have a good night too.
Yes, thank you for calling in. Let's start. With the Taves is too old, it's heartbreaking and it's not working out. I just want to point out Mike F over on Twitch had pointed out his stat today. Jonathan Taves is still getting more ice time than Nick Ehlers got. The one thing I have a lot of trouble with as a fan of pro sports is when you watch those guys that were formerly elite and those guys that were at the top of the mountain hang on too long. And they lose that immortality that they kind of built up. I was a big Tom Brady guy, and watching his last season, it was clear he'd fallen off the cliff. Peyton Manning was a guy that it was hard to watch his final years. And I'm getting those feelings watching Jonathan Taves right now. A lot of blame goes to Perfetti for not getting the puck deep and Lowry for not picking up the guy net front, but Jonathan Taves does not cut the ice in half, which allows the Edmonton Oilers to come back up the short side. He's been a defensive liability for someone that built a career out of defensive strength, and there is just no points coming. We're calling him Johnny Chance's Taves at this point because every game we're looking for a glimmer, and that's all that's coming. To bet on him more than a 4C, we talked about this in the summer when it happened, and it wasn't popular to say, but I thought it was absolutely nuts to stake your season on a guy that had not played hockey in two plus years, and his best years were still 5 years into the past. The fact that they bit the bullet on the biggest 35-plus deal, which has now guaranteed him ice time, in a year you knew your captain was coming off hip surgery, it just gets even worse and worse, and no one in this organization is going to demote Johnny Taves. It's going to take him quitting like Paul Maurice did for anything to change there, which is it's a tough spot for him to be in. I think everyone wanted this to work out. It would have been a great story, but it is so far from the reality of what we're seeing right now. As for the biggest problem the caller had, Mikey, I'll let you start there. People running the team aren't being honest with the fans. Where do you want to go there? And we'll keep going down the laundry list from that call.
I agree in the fact that, that it's one thing to try, like we talked about. It's one thing to try to do things. It's one thing to be motivated that you want to do the things. It's a whole other to know how to do them, to be able to do them effectively. And I just don't know if the Jets, they've talked a lot this season specifically about how important experience is, how important experience and knowing how to win and all those things they want to bring into the locker room. Why was that never a priority for the management group? Why was that never thought of for experience on how to build a team, how to build a winner, how to build a championship team, how to take it over that next step? We've seen a lot of GMs over the years be able to build a decent core, but not get their team over. And then, someone else comes in and makes a few changes. And I think that they are not creative enough when it comes to looking at player acquisition. I don't think they know how to really put a group over the edge and make it that winning thing. So I don't know if I don't think that they're being honest in terms of what they're trying to do. I do think they're honestly, in their minds, quote unquote, trying to win. I don't think they don't want to win. I just don't think they maybe have the right people in place who know how to build that type of winner.
And I do agree. I do think they're putting an honest effort, and I think that's where it's even more depressing at times. And the caller did touch on, obviously, it is harder in Winnipeg, and no one is suggesting otherwise. But again, this league has 30% of hockey players that have a no move or a no trade clause. There is still a big pool out there. And I do agree with the caller with the idea that the Winnipeg Jets don't get creative with their options. They are very set on this structure within the organization that they're committed to building around, and they're looking to just simply plug and play basic options. There is no risk tolerance in Winnipeg, and when you don't have a risk tolerance in pro sports, especially in a small market where I think for the Winnipeg Jets to be successful in a salary cap league with where the league's going, I think they're the type of organization that's going to have to take risks rather than be so patient, because one of the big reasons, I make no bones about it, and he's been one of the 4 elite guys this year. One of the big reasons I wanted to move off of Kyle Connor wasn't because Kyle Connor was a bad hockey player. It was because once this thing hit a level and started going backwards, it's going to be hard for them to claw back out of it. And there's no assets because of the drafting issue that was brought up. The core root problem of why the Jets are where they are right now has been their inability to draft and develop since 2016 or 2017. Sandberg was a second round in 2017. Cole Perfetti was a first rounder in 2020, I believe it was, 2019 or 2020. And those are the only draft picks the Winnipeg Jets have been able to draft and develop in the last 8 years. For an organization that keeps telling its fans they're draft and develop by nature, they have moved so far away from it as their core principle by blocking the path of their youth with guys like Tanner Pearson, Jonathan Taves, Luke Shen, as we're going to see Elias Salmonson going down by Monday when Hayden Fleury's back.
Yep.
You see them prioritize guys that would be on the fringes or on the waivers of most rosters. Those guys get every opportunity in Winnipeg. And once you can only prioritize so much. We saw them prioritize the development of Logan Stanley. I think that should be the most damning part of this development is they spent 10 years focused on developing a bottom-of-the-barrel third-pairing NHL defenseman. Like, just think about that in the context of this stretch of draft and development. And that is where the core of this lies, is because there's nothing coming up to push the ceiling. Their best players are playing at an elite level, but where do you expect the rest to come from when everybody else is either in their prime or the farm system's in the bottom 8 by most independent analysts? Like, there has been nothing coming to push this organization forward. It was almost like after they went to the 17-18 Western Conference Finals, which was a team that had, 9 guys under 24, if I'm not mistaken, 10
like
guys.
that, yep.
It's almost like them falling short there started this trend of, we got to get more certainty. We got to get more guys that we trust. And we've seen those guys prioritize time and time again, which has led to a bit of tailspin in that regard. They just haven't been good in that department. And when they are this small market team that has the struggles in the trade market that they do, or the free agent market they do, that's an area where they have to be airtight. That's an area where the Winnipeg Jets have to be ahead of the curve and managing and making sure they don't fall behind on, because they depend on it so much more than everyone else. And then the other side of it is this organization just isn't proactive. Everyone in sports talks about how an organization should have its best, the best understanding of a player, whether a prospect or someone in their system, and should know when the time's to move on. The other side of this whole draft and develop model is not only are they not drafting and developing players to the NHL level, they're not trading them when they have value to impact the roster either. When's the last time a top prospect, quote unquote top prospect, was traded out of Winnipeg to try and supplement the roster? They've tried so hard to do something that is very impossible in this league, and it's to have their cake and eat it too, by being competitive while trying to keep an eye on to the future. And guess what? We're at the headwinds where they're going to come out of it with neither. That's where that's where the scariness of this is. They're so stubborn and stuck into this. In my estimation, they have 12 months to get this right. They have to turn this around within 12 months and get aggressive, make some core altering. I don't know about core altering trades, but they got to rebuild the depth here in some form or fashion.
At minimum, you have to rebuild the depth. You can still the years you're getting out of this core right now. You're seeing they're good enough, right? Like you can have two guys pacing 100 points on the same team like this. The issue isn't the core, so you still have a chance to kind of tweak this if you still believe in this core. If you don't, then it's time to blow it up. Right? If you don't believe in this core, if you don't think these are the guys good enough to do it, then you have to. That's at the end of the day, right? But
too late already.
I still think you can tweak if they got creative and interesting with it. There are ways to get out of this without this year derailing the whole process. But if we're gonna keep staying with the status quo, I don't know how effective that's going to be.
As Nicholas at Night says over on YouTube, the Jets have to be the best drafting team in the NHL, period. It's not an area that they can hold up on. Frosty Winnipeg does say, to counter that a little bit, saying that Salo will be a full-time member by next year, and we expect that.
Hopefully,
but
yep.
I wouldn't write it in pen with this organization just
It all
yet.
depends
That's
on
all I'm
contracts.
saying.
We've got another caller. You ready?
Let's go to it.
Right on. We've got Matt Rothman on the phone. Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, sorry about the delay, had audio stuff.
No,
but,
all good. What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I've been messaging Nick Law about this, and he sort of hit the nail on the head. Some of the stuff that, I know I brought up, to him, or even just brought up on the comments. But yeah, I just feel like, especially with this management group, as Nick referenced, it was like, I think, like, considering, how they were, at the start of, let's say, Chevy's tenure, with the drafting guys like Shifley, like your Morseys, like your Trubas, Steelers, and so on. And then now it's sort of shifted to where, they always bring in these vet guys. They try to keep them, like your Nemesnikovs, Iafalos, those guys. And I think it's sort of come to a point where it's gotten, to a place where it's almost like they're stuck in this place. And this is where, for me, I have, a lot of my anger goes towards, Chevy and this management group in particular, because at this point, they're already one of, if not the oldest team in hockey. And next year, 2 years from now, they're probably just going to keep on getting older, because really, besides Jaeger, I don't know what else you have, Jaeger and Salmonson. I'm not sure what else you have. Surely, like, Lambert, still a big question mark. I don't know, what to expect from him. Shiberkov as well. So it seems like they're very tight on, trying to get veteran players in and stuff. So, even if you do get rid of, let's say, within a year from now, your Pearsons, Taves, and them, I still think you're sort of stuck with, guys that are, aging. You have guys now on long-term contracts, which Joe the Pionk one in particular, not a big fan of, to say the least. But yeah, I think the big point was, like, it's something that I've always touched on, but it's like the proactivity. I think that's been a big flaw in particular. And I think that for me, like, I can't really go back since, like, for example, the Stastny trade was probably the last time, when he got him from the Blues, the last time where I saw some sort of proactivity. Because, like, a lot of these moves, especially in recent years, I look at, after 2021 when they had an historically horrid defense, and then, they got both Brendan Dillon and Nate Schmidt. I mean, yes, you made those trades to shore up the defense, but that was only because, like, your defense was so bad the past 2 years that, like, you had to get them. And, the PLD trade, both times, the first one when you got him, Laine had requested out. Then the second time PLD requested out. So basically you were backed into, those as well. So when it comes down to it, and, I could speak a lot about Chevy, but this ownership group too, I just don't think they've really, put any sort of accountability, whether it's on Chevy to really go out and at least, like, try to see, make something happen. If something's not working, you can't keep it the same. I just think especially this ownership group has really failed in. And I know it's been brought up many times, just the fact that, all they care about is just getting 2 home playoff games, and clearly it's not going to happen this year. But just the fact, if that's the standard, then clearly this organization is off the rails, because nothing about this team, especially in the last few years, screams cup contender. Maybe it's a playoff contender. This one clearly won't make it in at this rate. If they do, you might as well build Connor Hellebuck a statue after it, because by any miracle, that's the only way they get in when he comes back. But if that's the case, this organization doesn't seem to understand that, cup contender is the most important thing, not just, getting revenue for 2 home playoff games. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. I'm just gassed after that because it's like 120 where I am now.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely agree, especially on the last point about, being a cup contender should be the more important part, not just the 2 playoff games every year to collect that revenue. So, yeah, thank you so much. And I know Nick's going to be excited to hit on some of these. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the call, Matt. Wasn't sure if you were signaling to me or that you were still on the
sorry
line
to you there, Nick.
Yeah, as you know, I know Matt Rothman follows me on socials. I know he tunes in the show a lot. He touches on a lot of things that I see as well. This was a poorly built hockey team that carried a ton of risk, and the warning signs were there. The Winnipeg Jets, even just think back to last year and where the team was. At the deadline, we were all talking about this idea they still needed a 2C and a top 4D. They ended up getting Luke Shen and Brandon Tanev. Then you extrapolate out to the summer, and everyone knew that they were losing Nick Ehlers. So now you're 3 core level pieces, and the plan was to fill that around the outskirts with guys that careers were basically on the line because of where they were at in their careers. And all in the process of spending the last 12 months locking down a lot of this. This was an organization that was a little high on their laurels about the President's Trophy, that wasn't thinking about the next 5 years. And I think that's where a lot of my problem has lied over the last half decade. And hey, to their credit, they retooled it and built a quality group over the last couple of years. I don't think we can lose sight of that here either, because they did pull it off and they did give a competitive team. But it was always going to be hard for them to take that next step without going outside of the box that they've put themselves in for years at this point, of where things are at. They've never taken the big risks. They've been trigger shy. They hold their value on everything. And at that case, you're always going to finish to the side. This idea that Cheveldayoff can't do anything in this league, halfly falls on him for holding steady on prices when offered, not willing to have egg on his face if he were to lose a trade. Meanwhile, he's watching this thing deteriorate backwards and backwards. And I do see in the chat, Nicholas at Night says, at the end of the day, there's someone above Chevy who keeps him employed for 15 years. Who is that? And we heard that person say 6 months ago that as long as that person lives, there won't be a new GM in Winnipeg. But as Scarborough puts it, the boys know we need a superstar, and they know Chevy can't get us one, so they're tanking to make it happen. I do disagree with Scarborough saying that he took a big risk on PLD. PLD had asked out and forced himself out. He only had a year of term. Every big move Cheveldayoff has made has come at the hands of the player forcing it and going public. When has this org gone out of the way to try and supplement this team without that happening? When has this org made a decision on a core player without that decision being made for them? When has this org made a decision on a coach outside of Claude Noel, and when to move on? When has this organization been anything but content with the relative success that they've had despite zero playoff success? We're talking about a team that's consistently ran back the exact same core that didn't go anywhere. And then they locked it all up into their 30s and decided to pack it despite this is where they do get it wrong, and this is where it's frustrating for me. My big criticism has been about the core guys they do have are not like in that next tier. They're not in that tier of guys that could carry a team like a McDavid, McKinnon. Not many teams have that.
No.
But the fact you decided to fill that team that has those issues with a bunch of grenades in their late 30s, like, how is this an actual plan from an organization paying somebody millions of dollars to make decisions like this on hockey players? Like, there's people that will say, oh, this is a hindsight. This is hindsight. Those people lack foresight and don't pay attention to the rest of the league when we've been talking about these potential downfalls dating back to July and June. And someone bet their life's work and the core they've built on this product. As Mike F. also points out, I think this is a big conversation, and we have to keep hammering it in different directions. Mike F. 1010 on Twitch says, there's no way that room is tight right now. Losing is the main thing, but there's no way having the 3 highest paid forwards get to play together consistently and other guys struggling to get any sniff of offense sits well with everybody. We're at the point where everybody reasonable covering this sport, ex-players are saying this at this time, and that there's a risk to doing this and consistently going to this well. Are you going to sacrifice the limited time you have to potentially turn this around to not hurt 2 guys that you've put $20+ million into their pocket for the next 6 years? At some point, when's the camel's back going to break here?
It's not coming. It's not. They're not splitting those 2 guys up until those 2 guys decide that it's okay. That's it. It's not. There's no world where Scott Arniel is busting into the room, sitting them both down and going, look, you're playing a part. We're going to build out some lines. We're going to try out some different guys with you. We're going to find out what works best, but you have to play a part. We need you both playing more minutes separately. That's not happening. So until the 2 players say to him, fine, go ahead and do it, it's not happening. It's because it isn't. We've seen it now for 2 years. That's the way they're going to live, and they're going to die by that line until those guys decide that they don't want to do that anymore. And you've got a coach who remembers getting locked out of the room the first time he was a head coach, the last time, 10 years in between those stints, and he's not going to be rocking the boat in that aspect. So it is what it is.
Nibs reminds us that they gave up this year's second for Luke Shen, and Scarborough reminds us it's going to be a high second. Let's keep in mind they don't have the year following second for Brandon Tanev either to start refilling those young spots. At some point, how long can you continue going down this track? How long are you going to let it kind of fall apart? You could, especially as an org that ended up in the Blake Wheeler spot, you could end up back in that spot again because you're scared to hurt feelings. As Nicholas at Night puts it, Dallas has Rantanen on line 2. Edmonton has Draisaitl on line 2. Colorado has Nekis on line 2. Vegas has Marner on line 2. Notice the caliber of player compared to what Jets have on theirs. Again, this conversation continues to be abnormal in every NHL market except for Winnipeg.
Yeah. We're not asking for something insane here. We're not suggesting some radical, earth-shattering, new thing that we want them to play with their stick upside down. I know it sounds fucking nuts, but have you guys seen Ringette? No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying, hey, here's a thing that every other team has done for the last 15, 20 years. Maybe we could try that. It seems to be pretty good. No? Oh, we're insane? Got it. Cool. Moving on. We're delusional.
Harjivan Prawana says, Nick, are you telling me that they are not one Huberdeau away?
Hey, look, I read an article that said we're only 2 game breakers away from being right back in it. So,
hey, that's optimistic. As Nicholas at Night says, it's basic shit in this league, and it really is. But in Winnipeg, that's not allowed. And when you say these things, you're demonized because, it's going against the Winnipeg Jets. And how could somebody go against the Winnipeg Jets? Clearly, they know what they are doing. Clearly, this team is ahead of the curve, as you could tell with where this season is going. It's going to be.
And like Cranberry says, they could just try it. We aren't winning, so just do something. Just give it let's see what some things look like. Let's maybe take 20-ish years of data of players playing back-to-back and not put Eric Comrie in. I don't know, crazy things, wacky ideas. Again, not because it's going to change the outcome, but why would you do something so obviously insane and stupid? Like, there is no world where it makes any sense. Even if you didn't think you were winning the game, why would you do that to Comrie, the guy who's giving you 2 quality starts in a row here? It just, like, the decisions boggle the mind sometimes, truly.
As Scarborough says, Bucky really has been the only thing keeping this together, hiding all your warts, and it's hard not to start coming to that conclusion. With like, the other thing about this is, outside of the forwards, and forwards do matter in Team D, but the D group is all the same, and we're seeing them make such sporadic errors time and time again now. May's pointing out that the Flames are better than
Oh, don't say that. Don't do
Jets
that to me.
defensively right now. Like, this is what we're talking about here. Like,
well, when we were talking earlier today, what was it? 7 out of the 14 wins have come against the league's bottom 5 teams. Is that right? I think I have those numbers.
7 out of
fairly
14. Yeah,
close.
7 out of 14 against the bottom 5.
So, yeah, like, I don't know if we are much better than the Flames, than Nashville, than Buffalo right now. Because we're only beating Nashville and Buffaloes of the world at the moment. Like, and we have the second hardest strength of schedule going forward, right, for the rest of the season?
Going into tonight, we had the second hardest schedule per tankathon. This tank may get rolling the way things are going. They might get bailed out with some luck because of how bad of a product they put onto the ice here. It is the Winnipeg Jets' only way out. It sucks. This sucks.
Yeah.
This isn't fun to do. I don't love to come on here and run my mouth about how bad the Winnipeg Jets have been. There's nothing fun about this. But at the end of the day, with how this organization has operated, with the fact that we know the box that they put themselves in, the fact that we can predict what they were going to do, like putting Iafallo in the Velarde spot, because they're such a limited – they limit themselves so much as to what they can try. Rather than going in there open-minded, things have to fit in such a rigid framework in Winnipeg.
Yep.
And because they won't let themselves even experiment outside that framework, it's impossible for me to expect that that's going to change anytime soon. So, honestly, I need them to be as bad as possible for the rest of December. And the schedule is tough. The worse this team is, and the more this season becomes a lost season, unfortunately, it's the only way that they're going to get the type of talent that they need, because it's not going to come from this management group. It'd be silly to expect them to at this point. We've seen 15 years of mostly swinging and missing.
Yeah. Past performance is the best indicator of future performance. Nothing in there says that they're going to find, some monumental way to shift the balance and get this all right back out there, because there's more than just one problem. They're not one, hole away of fixing there's multiple issues, not only with, the talent level that's there, how it's being used, just all of it. It's a clusterfuck across the board at the moment. And it's because of that, I don't see a single player making the difference and changing the fortunes of the team. So you almost start to go, well, is this a lost season? Are we kind of at that spot now? Yeah, it's kind of feeling like that.
Mike F1010 points out over on Twitch, everyone knew offense would be a struggle this year, but they're not even taking a chance to see if something works. Remember Ehlers' stats, Nik Cop. Last year in Game 7, what won the Winnipeg Jets the game when Mark Scheifele got hurt? Was Kyle Connor, Adam Lowry, Alex Iafallo.
Yep.
Imagine pitching that to the Winnipeg Jets right now. Someone would shit themselves if you even brought up that idea. And it wasn't the fucking biggest game they've played in the last 5 years.
You can't play Connor third line minutes. That's no. That doesn't work. Nick, why do you hate winning? He has to play first line minutes. He can't play on the third line. That's silly.
Like, what sucks? What's so frustrating? I'm at the acceptance stage already. But people that were spent, like, millions of dollars of brains came together to put this roster together. I'm a loser that just sits at home and watches too much hockey and dives into too many websites. And I could have told you this was bad money spent because I bitched and moaned about it all summer because it was bad money spent. I had Jets group chats that wanted to toss me, and I don't blame them. I was miserable. I don't think I was miserable enough after watching what we've watched.
Don't you hate
I thought they were going to be bad, but I didn't think they would be this fucking pathetic. But people put this together and expected to sell it on a platter coming off a President's Trophy appearance. This was the best they could muster up. It's pathetic.
So earlier when I said I don't think they lie to us, I do. I will amend that statement a little bit. I don't think they wanted Jonathan Toews to be the only big name that they added in the summer. I'm sure again, we talked about wanting and being able to do different things, but I'm sure they wanted more, right? But at the end of the day, when that was the only thing they were able to put out in front of it, they've got to now try to sell this as, oh, here we go. This is the piece that's missing. I think even they knew that this was not the case, right? And we've been trying to kind of warn everybody, trying to make that landing a little soft. Like, let's maybe put the brakes a little bit on the expectations on what you're expecting out of Toews. Let's hold off. I don't think 40 points is probably realistic. Let's just take a breath on it. You could either be shocked that Toews ended up on the wing, or you can listen to the landing strip, because we told you that's what was going to happen. We have eyes. You can see the patterns develop, and we've gotten now to this point, and I just think we're reaching the spot now here where hopefully eyes are being opened up just a little bit. Expectations can kind of start being more realistic, because this isn't that President's Trophy team. I don't even know if this is a playoff team right now.
It doesn't feel like it. Like,
I know someone's going to be like, they're only 3 points out of the wild card too tomorrow morning. I know we're going to see all the it's fake. It's fake parody in the NHL. This is not a playoff team.
And if they do, you're signing up to watch your team get fucking pummeled and draft 16th overall. Like, that's what cheering for a playoff spot does this year, unfortunately, with the way the business of this sport goes. And that's why you'll have people like me mad, or get mad when they see me change my name to the Tank Commander on Twitter. But this team needs it. Like, and we were talking about, like, the astronomical rants came, 2 shows ago? We tried to dress it up a little bit here.
Yep.
Zero goes 8 points out. The Winnipeg Jets are tied for the worst record in the NHL since the start of November. They are 6-10-1 for 13 points out of a possible 34. At what point do we all collectively, the entire fan base that thinks I'm just trying to make their life more miserable, when I'm trying to push things further into the conversation and hopefully up the pressure so you get to see a better product at some point in time, because no one should be fucking enjoying what the Winnipeg Jets are selling you right now. We're sounding the alarm bells because we want the Jets to get out of this mess. They're not going to get out of this mess this year. Scarborough asked, what's the over-under of a prior President's Trophy winner finishing bottom 5? Has that happened before? What did the Rangers finish last year?
Good question. That's
And Nicholas and I people who watch a lot of hockey and understand the sport tend to know more than a little about it. In Winnipeg, there's more than a few of those people. We're a knowledgeable fan base. And there is, like, obviously, especially with the winter here, what do you want to be doing? I have no problem getting cozied up and watching an out-of-market game or the West Coast swing late at night. I enjoy that shit. And anyone that thought that betting on a collection of this core, plus Gustav Nyquist, Jonathan Toews, Tanner Pearson, and another year of Luke Shen plus a Hayden Fleury extension to round out the D, was going to pump this thing over. I question their scouting staff. I question their analytics department. I question where these bounce backs were going to come at 36 plus years old from players who look like they were shot last year. What was the plan?
no plan. Rangers finished 11th last year from the bottom, so not quite bottom 5 there.
Well, that's like realistically, once Hellebuck's back, that's probably the range we're looking at. Let's put this into context. Remember the conversations around the New York Rangers being the most dysfunctional front office group for going from a President's Trophy to one of the biggest messes in the NHL last year, right? Do you remember those conversations, Mikey? I remember a lot of them.
I remember a couple of those.
So I know this is small market Winnipeg, and it doesn't get the traction elsewhere. But maybe, just maybe, we should look at it how everyone looked at the New York Rangers last year. And maybe, just maybe, we should shine a bigger light at just how ineffective this managerial group has been over the last 12 to 18 months, because that's where it was. We had people, as Kevin K points out, says lots of people were focused on Nyquist's 75 points, not the 28 last year. Over his last 4 years, he had averaged 26, 28, 75, 28. Guess which one we thought was real at 36 years old.
So I've got the answer here for Pomerlane for the President's Trophy to finishing in the bottom. Almost the answer, anyways. So there's only 3 teams that have ever missed the playoffs the year after winning the President's Trophy. Do you think you can name those teams?
So is the Rangers?
It's you got the Rangers.
How recent?
2015 and 2007.
2015 was it Chicago?
Boston Bruins.
Boston Bruins. Okay, that makes sense.
And the 2007 Buffalo Sabres.
Okay. So how did those all turn out?
Yeah, not so great.
Not very confident looking at that. We should get into the From Financial Face-Off. We've forgotten since then. What is the From Financial Face-Off? We want to do this differently. I want to ask this a different way. I am asking you, the chat. I am having trouble myself tonight. For today's From Financial Face-Off, what is the next step for Winnipeg's management group? What do you want to see the Winnipeg Jets do from here? If you were in the shoes of the management team of the Winnipeg Jets, what is your From Financial Face-Off? What is your next move for the Winnipeg Jets? Let us know in the comments, and we're going to dig up our own here. Mikey, let's move into the From Financial Face-Off.
Let's hit it. Right on.
Mikey, if you're the Winnipeg Jets management group, it is December 7th. You just watched what you just watched. What is your next move if you had your hands on this franchise right now?
Oh, boy. There would be a couple guys getting to enjoy some American Hockey League hockey for the next little bit. You know, we keep hearing about, they're going to... They pulled Comrie in that Buffalo game to send a message. They're going to pull Comrie in this one. That's really sending a message. You want to send a message? Yeah, guess what? You're going to be going down for a little bit. You're going to be hitting waivers, and you get to play some American Hockey League games for a bit. Because you just can't. You just can't do absolutely nothing. And again, this is not saying that the kids are coming up because they're making the difference and they're going to win the games and get the Jets into the playoffs. Nobody is saying that. But what I'm saying is that you can't keep putting out this same group game after game after game after game and then make the shocked Pikachu face when you get blown out 6-2 or whatever it ended up being today. Those things aren't congruent, right? So either this is a lost season, which again, I'm in the camp that I kind of think it is, and it's time to just start seeing what you have in some guys, bring some of the kids up for a little bit of a run, let them play a few games here, especially close to Christmas, get them an NHL check. While you've got some veterans who can absolutely enjoy the quote-unquote easier competition of the American Hockey League for a little bit of a stretch, or they can sulk. I don't give a shit. But that's what I'd be doing right off the hop. Also, again, you need a real way to change up the lines, not just throwing the CSI line back together because Horatio puts on cool sunglasses. Like, actually go out and give it a shot, break up Scheifele and Connor, try them out with a couple different line mates, see what works, see what doesn't work. Figure this shit out now because, again, I think you're in the spot of you're not making the playoffs. Even if you do, you're going to get pumped, kind of like you saw tonight. Use this year to see what you have in-house, see what pieces other teams are half interested in. If you can get some, something back for a Nemestikov or a Nino with an extra year still on his deal, do it. Try to collect in some pieces and just work on what you're doing going forward, because I don't think trying to salvage this particular season is good for the short term, good for the long term. I think it just ends up hindering your progress overall.
Over on Twitch, Choices TK's From Financial Face-Off is Embrace the Suck. Get a top 5 pick. I'm going to go through on YouTube. Mikey, love where you kind of went with that. I'll get into mine in a second here, as there's a lot of thoughts over on YouTube tonight. Madison Howanik, sorry, I'm so bad with names, says, sell at the bottom 9, let the young guys run wild, give Helly as much time as he needs to heal, and don't care about your record. At Blake G9 says the From Financial Faceoff, the team needs to waive a vet and bring up Gus and JD to put them L4 with Taves. They could play the system at least. I like that type of approach to send a real message in this room. Who cares about hurting millionaires' feelings? Guess what? This playing in this league is a privilege, and you got to earn that opportunity. I would have no problem sending a message that way Monday. Something has to happen. We'll get into Monday after this chat here. Matty wins his From Financial Faceoff is stay the course and let the tank roll into the sunset. Jordan Voth is here to troll and says trade for Braden Shen and get the marketing hype for the brothers rolling. That's the type of Vancouver answer to this situation. You don't want to go full Vancouver. Abort. Do not go down that path. Scarborough 21 says From Financial Faceoff is the Jets positioning themselves for a top 3 pick. Maple Bacon says fueled by passion and Centrum. Caitlin Doucette says From Financial Faceoff sell anyone that you can in the bottom 9. Cranberry likes to go the same route as we just discussed with waiving some old guys and bringing some speed from the Moose. The Whaler 56 is honestly conflicted and says the From Financial Faceoff is, I seriously don't know. They're locked up with an old core with trade protection, little in the cupboards, and a crap current team. Hail Mary reclamation projects is about all you can do, and that's something to start thinking about. Do we go poach Kent Johnson and try and revive him out of Columbus? Is that the Trevor Zegras buy low? It kind of looks like it, and given what's going on, I think I'm in.
Sure.
At Blake G also says the From Financial Faceoff is to trade for an aging Philip Deneau. He would totally fit into this bottom 9 right now.
God, yeah.
Nicholas at Night says if I'm Jets management, I make sure to ice the same lineup next game.
They're going to.
And Scarborough says, yes, ice the same lineup every game as everyone is looking for the tank from this lineup with how bad it's been. What does that tell you when your plan A lineup has your fan base cheering for you to keep going to it because it's going to mean a higher draft pick? Think about that for a second. It's December 7th, and that's where a lot of smart people in our audience have arrived at.
You know,
just wrap your brain around that for a second.
It's almost optimistic. It's almost some glass half full shit because you still get Scheifele and Connor having 100-point seasons. Maybe they get to go to the Olympics and have a great time. We get a higher pick in the draft. Everybody wins. Yeah, I'm on board. I actually think I've officially sided over to keep the top line together the rest of the year. Harrison said it the other day in the chat. He wants to see, or on Twitter, he wants to see how good one line can be by themselves for a whole year. Let's do it. I'm in now. Keep the top line together.
You guys really want to see me check into Selkirk. That's all I'm getting from this at this point. L.May says from Financial Faceoff
120 points maybe. Let's do it.
Waiver trade Nyquist and Pearson, go shopping for a young winger, and offer our first, but in brackets, top 10 predicted. Lambo, Barlow, anyone but Salmonson, honestly. I'd hate to lose Yeager, but either way. That's the only way I'm willing to trade that first is if there's a protection on it, or you wait until the summer and go shopping with it at the draft if it falls out of the bottom 6. But yeah, I'm down to move the first for a top 10 predicted. I just need protections on the worst case scenario, watching what we are doing here. Madison Hwanek points out, I can't wait for no changes next game, then says, wait, no, we get to see Fleury. That's all they will do.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll be the changes. Salamonson is going to get sent down. That'll be the big message sent. Fleury will be back, so that'll really shore up the bottom pairing. And yeah, the rest of the lineup will remain unchanged. Or as Mike F says on Twitch, we all know what's coming. One period of Connor and Scheifele split up. And even that feels a little optimistic considering we got like 5 to 10 minutes of Velarde off the top line to.
L.May also says, if we miss the playoffs, I'd trade Nino, and says I'd also see what DeMello or Pionk is worth. And if you did want to make a core-altering trade that might get you a top 6 scoring winger, Neil Pionk might do it for you. I'm just throwing it out there.
If there's a buyer, do it. You should have done it before he signed that awfully ridiculous contract, but whatever. If you can do it now, take it. Run with it.
Turd Ferguson with the big question of the night. Nick, any chance Hayden Fleury could save our season? Can the lowest IQ defenseman on the Winnipeg Jets turn this ship around? Stay tuned for this week.
Former first round pick.
On the latest episode of What Deck Share will turn the Jets year around, brought to you by ship captain Scotty Arneal.
Maybe this chair will stop the iceberg.
Yeah, why turn the Titanic around when you can keep going straight at that glacier and just make sure
hit it once, do it again, hit it again, just back it up, do it again.
A couple more from Financial Faceoffs. Matt Rothman wants Chevy fired, get rid of the old guys in the bottom six like Nyquist and Pearson, play Salmonson, Lambert, and more. Got to go to sleep now, but that's what they would do.
Thanks, Matt.
I'm glad you got to get that out before going to bed. I hope you feel better, Matt. Thanks for the call tonight. Harji Van Perwana says the From Financial Faceoff is the Landing Street Peace Award recipient. Arc Signs from Financial Faceoff this is the 1 year you have a chance to see what you actually have. After this, everyone is too old to really get it figured out. It's already likely we suck.
You know what's funny?
It's possible.
You know what's hilarious? Last year, when they were winning games and doing really well, and we were like, hey guys, things are going real well. We've got a nice lead built up. Maybe we should take a look to see if there are some other combinations of things because, while this line is doing well, there are still some nights they're getting hemmed in. It's not as great, so, hey, things are going well right now. Let's maybe try this out. Oh, no. We can't try it. We're winning. We can't break anything up. We've got to keep, everybody's got to roll. And okay, fine. Yeah, that makes sense. You flash forward to right now. Hey, guys, we're not doing well. We're not winning. Maybe we could try things. No, we can't try anything because we're not doing well. That's the only thing that's working. Can't break that. We can't be both. It can't be fucking both. And I don't know how we got into this spot where it's both. You can't break them up because they're doing well, but you also can't break it up when it's not going well. I don't get it.
It is the Winnipeg way, man. At the end of the day, we all pray to the Winnipeg way, and it may lead us. It may lead us past temptation, but we might get our. At Scarborough says we are past American Thanksgiving. We are who we are. Embrace the tank. Bring up Lambeau, Barlow, Chips to get experience this year. At Blake G says the From Financial Faceoff is Jets need to take a chance on young guys out of the market. Should have been like Zegras. And also says they would trade Perfetti at this point. To get another core level piece, I'm totally on board with you, Blake. I am totally on board with you. At Scarborough goes the same way, saying if we can get a top six wing using Fetz, I'd do it. Couple more, and we'll continue on throughout this year. As there's a bit of debate in the chat about trading this year's first. Would you trade this year's first with a protection, without a protection? Where do you stand on that?
The only way I'm trading the first is with, at minimum, a top 10 protection. I'm still not thrilled about trading it at all, considering where the Jets seem to be progressing. If we get a little bit closer to the deadline and Hellebuck is back and they've unfortunately put themselves in a spot where it looks like they're going to be drafting 14th, then sure, if you can find, again, a core altering piece, a piece that is important enough to supplement this core, then sure, I'm open to listening on it. But only said, like, if the Jets are stuck drafting like in that mid-range again where it's not going to be an impact player right away. Anything beyond that, I don't even want to entertain the thought.
The reality of what we've talked about is they got to try and get this back on the wheels by next year. And any pick outside of the top 5 or 6 is not going to help them next year. So as long as there's a top-end protection in case the lottery ball hits the right spot, and you're not giving up what would cripple the Winnipeg Jets organization's future, I think you have to consider trying to get something with some term. I know a name we've talked about, and Friedman's poured some cold water on it, but if an Owen Tippett became available and that pick had to be a part of it, of course you include it with a protection. You still do got to look at how you're going to rebuild this thing for next year, how you're going to retool it, and that could be an asset where if it's falling outside that top 10, guess what? the Jets probably likely miss on that player, or he doesn't play for the next 5 years, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, he needs
You
to
have
wait
to
for a
reframe.
spot. You got to condition him
Yeah.
to lose for 6 to 7 years. You got to get 8 people hurt. So, you know.
Yeah, only with a protection though. Otherwise, I am out. Do we even bother with a 3 stars on this night?
You know, that's I was thinking about that earlier. If you want to bail on it, I'm actually okay with that. If not, I did have I do have somebody.
Okay, let's go to your 3 stars. Let's do it.
All right, let's hit it. All right, so my 3 stars, all 1, 2, and 3 are going to be shared tonight. It's going to be a group 3 stars, and it's just all 3 grouped together. It's going out to Dr. Leslie Richley, Dr. Cameron Bodkin, Dr. Mackenzie Aitchison, and Dr. Jitender Serene, the psychiatric doctors for the Winnipeg Jets, because they're going to have a lot of work on their hands going forward, working with the guys, talking to the guys, because things aren't working, and they're going to need a lot of help going forward. So I'm going to shout out the Jets psychiatry crew that they have, and they're going to have to be the 3 stars going forward to get the Jets out of this funk.
Actually, I'm glad you went there in a sense, because I wanted to shout out Gabe Velarde on the way out.
Yes.
Murata Tesh with The Athletic did a sit down with Gabe Velarde, who wanted to open up about some of his mental health difficulties as he grew up. Talked about his upbringing with anxiety, talking to people once a week, being part of dealing with that, how he manages it. And one of his suggestions was along the lines of try and talk to yourself like you would talk to a teammate rather than how you see yourself. He spends a lot of time at the rec room to try and get out of his head and play some games and feel like a kid again. Plays with Lego at home to get out of those. But I just really admired Gabe Velarde opening it up and deciding to use his platform to talk about men's mental health and the anxiety he faces, especially anxiety isn't something I really grew up with myself. It was something that was very foreign to me, but given the last 2 years of my life with my dad and then the cancer, it's something I've had to learn on the fly on how to handle. So to see someone like Gabe Velarde decide to go out of his way and talk about that isn't easy, but I admire him for it, and I think that was a very important message that's going to help a lot of people. So shout out Gabe Velarde for having that conversation and Murata Tesh for putting that article out. I just wanted to go there on the way out. As for my 3 stars, the 3rd star, Scott O'Neill for turning chicken shit into chicken shit that's even worse instead of chicken salad. Number 2, Kevin Chevalier for making the bet on this roster and burning the years of the elite core that he built and put together and bet on and burning a great year of it. And number 1, Mark Chipman for being more motivated than ever to put a cup in Winnipeg, because
So
that
motivated,
motivation, can't you tell the motivation has been hot this year? We will be back on Tuesday. Mikey, any bold predictions before we get out of here? What happens Monday when the Jets practice again?
Nothing bold. You guys know what's going to happen. We've seen it the whole way through. Kids are going back down. The vets are back. Hayden Fleury's back. You're going to get to see real Winnipeg Jets hockey. For good or for bad, that's what you're getting, baby.
Yes, we're gonna get the CSI line, the Taves Lowry Velarde line, the Perfetti IFL Nino line would be my guess. So basically, no changes from where his brain went to today.
I think we're going right back to the OG first line, considering the goal in the 3rd period today. That's my guess.
We might be. The Jets are gonna get real bold and change nothing. And for the rest of us that are tuned in and as pessimistic as it gets, that could be a good thing. Thank you all for being here. Nicholas that night says, good show. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you being here to vent with us and to figure this out. Make sure you like and subscribe or let your buddies know. We will be back on Tuesday. And as Scarborough says, good night and God bless. God bless your Winnipeg Jets and the stubbornness that they entail. It certainly makes for a circus.
Right on. Good night, everybody.